Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Geek First Thought Bubbles from the Geek First podcast from your one and only Travis Snell. Been a while. Been a while since the Geek First Thought Bubble. This is used just to throw random reviews. It's not a full Geek First podcast episode. Throwing out a quick random review for a Netflix original film, The Babysitter. The Babysitter is about a boy. I'm going to jump right into it. Usually I rant a little bit, but I'm going to jump right into it. It's about a young boy. Younger, I guess. He's kind of like preteen, somewhere in there. It's a story about him growing up. He still has his babysitter. People kind of make fun of him a little bit for it, but the babysitter is super hot and super gorgeous and super funny and personable and all these things. So it is a classic tale of, this boy has a huge crush on this babysitter. Obviously, she's older than him, and they have really good chemistry, and I think, has kind of been watching for a little while. So it's a classic tale of boy likes this older girl. Older girl maybe doesn't know or has a little, sense of it, but it's a kid, so nothing's really going to happen there. One night or one weekend, parents go out of town. It's going to be, I guess it's spoilers, but they show in the trailer, so if you want not to be spoiled at all, and I'm not going to be doing a full spoiler review. They go out of town. This girl's there to watch him. One of his friends is like, oh, have you ever, stayed up when you go to sleep? Like, your babysitter probably brings over a guy and does it with him. And, of course, him having a minor crush on her kind of is a little irked by this. So he stays up to see what's going on. And they are downstairs killing a kid, and it's a cult, apparently. Some sort of form of a cult. And that is your primary synopsis. That's probably on IMDb. That's the trailer shows. I watched the actual movie. I quite liked it. It was pretty good. This is something that I compare to almost like This Is the End, where it has that sort of humor where there's like horror and scary moments or moments of sci-fi, like in This and Then they had like aliens running around and you had people getting killed off, but it was all in a very comedic manner and very tongue-in-cheek and very immature at times. Like, if you think about that scene in James Franco just talking about jizzing over everybody, that's kind of this movie. I'd say it's less funny than that, but I had a good time with it. It is a fun ride in a way that it's a good comedic kind of coming of age tale in a way. I was actually surprised by that. There's like emotional moments in it, but not emotional moments that I was about to cry or something like that. But they do a good job with the emotional moments. The actual begin the film when they're showing the chemistry of the kid. And I actually forgot the kid's name. Cole was the kid's name. So Cole and B, they have these kind of dance-offs, and they have talks about science fictions and lots of very geeky sort of things. And there's moments that could have came off really poor or really cheesy and kind of eye-rolling, want you to turn off the movie. But they have really good chemistry. Like, they do the angle well of boy who has a crush on girl and girl who kind of knows that but is just having him as a friend and thinks he's really cute and innocent. They do that really well, and you actually believe it, because once the cult stuff happens and some killing happens, you still believe that she doesn't hate this kid, like she was just using him for whatever maybe this cult may or may not do with him. You actually feel like there was a connection there, which I applaud. And that, I've never seen the kid before, I've never seen her before. She was really good in this. I was a fan of her. I've not seen her anything else. I IMDb just to check. She looked familiar, but nothing I know. Maybe she's something small, but looked up IMDb. But she was good as playing the, like I said earlier, personable but kind of hot chick babysitter. Sometimes you get not a good mix of that. You get someone that's very attractive and good looking, but they don't have a personality, and they don't really feel like a real person. They're just playing hot chick the object, which is fine in some movies, but in this movie, when you need to feel like there's a connection between the two, it wouldn't have worked. Once you see the movie, they're, like I said, they go on big rambles of talking about like Spock and Kirk and stuff like that, and lots of people, this wouldn't work, and we've all seen that before, where they try and make this girl that, okay, yeah, as a male I'm attracted to her because, okay, she physically is very gorgeous or good looking, but they're like, in real life I wouldn't want to talk to this person, or I don't have anything in common with them, or they just seem like, oh, I'm hot and that's about it. And that's what I liked with this. They didn't go for, yeah, she's good looking, and there's times where he's like caught looking at her chest and stuff like that, but you get the feeling that the boy is more in love with her as a person than just the object, and her being good looking is a plus on that. So That's all good. The horror stuff, there's not too much of it. Like I was talking about with This Is the End, it's very tongue-in-cheek. There's maybe even a few jump scares, but they're not even that jumpy. It's very immature at times, which I liked. It doesn't go like levels like Wet Hot American Summer humor, but there's times where there's closeness to that. But I could see someone not liking it for that. So this movie is, I think you'll know half an hour in, maybe less, but I'd say give it half an hour. It's only an hour and a half. So it actually went by really fast. I had a good time. Most of the jokes hit. There's a couple characters that acting wasn't the greatest or the lines felt very forced, and I was not laughing really at all. So this wasn't like a knockdown drag. Oh, I had a great time start to finish, but I had a good time for a fun Friday the 13th Halloween horror movie. This is a movie that you could easily put on during a Halloween party with some friends and have a good time, have some laughs. Robbie Amell is really good in it, surprisingly. I didn't know because all I've seen him in is do like the DC TV stuff. And it's always tough when you have like Stephen Amell, who's like this badass Arrow main character. You see a lot more of him, and it's that thing of like, can you ever shake off like a Chris versus Liam Hemsworth, that baby brother thing. I hope he does do it because I liked him well. I liked him quite a bit. He did very well, and he's very comedic in this, and his lines flowed the best. And he's somebody that even lines that maybe might not have been the funniest, he made them work, and he made them work for themselves. This world is definitely like a heightened sense of reality, not in the sense of people are getting shot and they can survive, just the way people act. Like it's a minor spoiler, but there's a scene where Robbie Amell, who's in this cult, has an opportunity to kill the boy, but he doesn't because of a reason that is very kind of, a little eye-rolly, but it's kind of cute at the same time, because he's kind of like looking out for this kid at the same time because he's like, he's been there as a kid, like he's been a kid and he knows there's a bully kind of picking on him. It has something to do with that. So he's kind of like, you need to man up and do this. Like, and he takes a break and he doesn't kill him, and then we get right back in the action. So there's a few moments like that, but it's a good fun little watch. I put it on expecting it could be bad because I did that a couple weeks ago with like the movie called Little Evil, and I was expecting this, and I got something that I was like, oof, this was a slog to get through, and it was really boring and not funny at all. They have fun, colorful characters. There's some really unexpected stuff. This is a movie that I think you would have put in theaters and it would not have done well because it would have been rated R. It would have been really out there. But I like the really out there. There's some moments that they take stuff like there's one moment where a character sees something, the screen just pauses, and then big text comes up and says, "What the fuck?" Like it's not just a direct movie. There's some very kind of campiness to it. There's some quirkiness to it, and for the most part, it works. There's the odd time it doesn't, and you just don't laugh. Like, okay, and at the end of the day, they call back to it a lot. The relationship between Cole and B was quite good, and it's a fun little tale of this kid growing up, and he's trying to literally become a man in a sense. It's a classic coming of age tale, but mixed in with a horror cult and some heightened reality sense of comedy, and it works. And there's a moment where Cole actually has an arc, which in the best coming of age stories that happens. Lots of coming of age stories attempt to do that, but you never get the sense of this kid has learned something or he's changed and he's grown up. You do get the sense of this, and it's a short movie, but it works. Any longer this movie would have been, I think would have just been taking down my score more and more, because I think it was the perfect amount. Netflix is great with these things as far as this movie. I didn't review it, but a couple weeks with Gerald's Game was the same thing. Perfect amount. It's just enough that I didn't feel like there's any fat on here, anything to trim off, and that's when longer run times can be a little difficult. We talk about all the time with Marvel Netflix that every once in a while there's a couple episodes with some scenes where like, this just feels like we had to fill the time. Nothing really feels like it had to fill the time. There's some fun, creative kills. There's like a little tongue-in-cheek and poking at the horror genre at times. If you like horror movies, I think you'll really like this, unless you're not a fan of the humor. Which I said the humor you'll know probably half an hour in, but it's like a less smart, like You're Next in a way. Like it doesn't take the genre on its head and switches it, but it has some fun with it, and it's a good time. The cast is good. There's some people to be looking out for that like I said, Ken Marino from Wet Hot American Summer, I love. But Robbie Amell and Samantha Weaving impressed me. And I'm excited to see what they do next. And now when someone like Samantha Weaving gets cast in Marvel, DC, or something that I like, I go, oh, I saw her in this, and I really liked her. And she was really charismatic. The kid, I'm not sure how much I'll see him more, but he was surprisingly good for a kid actor as well. I should shout him out a lot. Lots of time these kid actors can be tough, but with Stranger Things, with Logan, with this, like this is not on that same level those, but just recently I've been seeing a string of movies with great kid acting. So I think people are taking a lot more care of not just like, we just find any 7-year-old who's cute and fits this role. This kid does a good job. So I would say check it out if you're a horror fan. The comedy may or may not be for you. Even then, it's an hour and a half. I think you'd get a good time. And like I said, I think this is the perfect movie for like a Halloween party. So thank you very much for tuning into this very quick review, because it's every once in a while good to do just a fun little quick get it out there review. And that's what we're doing right here. If you want longer reviews, head over to our channel. We just did Blade Runner. That was a full like 2.5 hours or something like that. We just did our newscast where we talked about which trailer was better, Justice League or Star Wars. Our 24-hour charity stream is coming up November 4th, 9 a.m. PST. That's where the P is. We are donating everything we raise from now until November 4th when we do our 24-hour stream to BC Children's Hospital. Any amount helps. You can head over to Facebook. You can check the links in these videos. You can go take a look and see what our cause is and what we're donating towards. So thank you very much for tuning into this review. Whenever I hear from you next, I hear from you. Well, I guess go in the comments. If you like this, like and subscribe to these videos. That helps us. If you want to see more, head over to Patreon. We got our Saw retro. We got the Netflix and fails up there. We got Spider-Man retros. We got podcasts that aren't even coming out for like another 2 or 3 months. So if you can't support us there, go to YouTube, go to iTunes, subscribe, rate, review. That helps us out big time. So thank you very much for tuning in. And when you hear from me next, it won't be boring.